Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we have done with the what is management, definitions by different people, efficiency, effectiveness
Good,
in
good.
detail, levels of management, skills required by managers, VUCA world, characteristics of traditional and new organization, changing roles of managers,
Right,
POSCORP concept,
right,
administration versus management,
right,
MBO process, advantages of MBO and tactical steps,
right,
the leadership versus management,
right.
planning definition, process of planning, directing, organizing, staffing, controlling, coordination, and last time we did motivation. In that we have just gone through the Herzberg theory.
Right, right. Good, good. Fine. I hope, see, most of you are regular. I know that, and most of you know what we have done up till now, and why we do this recap so that we come to know what are the topics we have covered up till now, and we know where do we stand right as of today, right? Because we are left with only 5 lectures now, 5 sessions. Three I am going to cover important topics, and last two will be I'll be taking one examination at the very fag end, last session. And before that, one session will be only for revision. I'm just going to go across all the PPTs, whatever I have shared with you. We are going to discuss. I'm going to sort out your doubts also in case you have any difficulty doubts. Because see, this is a very easy subject. And since most of you are working, I think means, most of the terms you can correlate with your work environment, right? Because this is what you people are already doing. I am not teaching you anything new actually. Right? We are already into that. I think I think 90-95% of the students they are working somewhere or the other, or many of you have experience also, right? So budgeting, we are going to discuss with budgeting. And before I start, see what is budgeting? Budgeting is the art of making budget, right? Budgeting, but the budget is a one of the plan documents. It's a plan document. It is a statement of planned allocation of resources. It is allocating resources expressed in financial or numerical terms, right? It is sort of planning only. See, budgeting and planning usually goes hand in hand, because budgetary control is used to replan again. Budgetary control, we're going to discuss that term also, but it is sort of planning, right? It is a planned allocation of resources expressed in financial or numerical terms. Budget includes financial planning, accounting. See, budgeting is not only accounting. Many times students they misinterpret budgeting as only accounting. It is not only accounting. It is financial planning as well as accounting and controlling. So you have to remember these three keywords: financial planning, accounting, and control. Right? Just yeah. See, all of you, please be muted, right? Whenever you want to talk, you can raise your hand, and then I can means you can unmute yourself. I have given you the permission to unmute yourself. But if you keep your mic open, I'm say unmuted, then many a time it causes disturbances, it distract the class, right? So always keep it in mind, not only for my session, for other session as well. Always be muted. If you want to talk, you can raise your hand. Okay. So before we move ahead, I'd like to show you one small video, 6 minutes video, that is going to make things a bit clear about this particular term. And after that, I'm going to take you to one of the website which talks on 6 steps to budgeting, right? Or business budget. 6 steps to a better business budget. This is again one of the video we're going to play. It's hardly of 1 minute 30 seconds time. Now this video is good. In fact, I have deliberately pinpointed out this. This is going to make things more simple for you to understand. Now let me share sound, and here we go with the video. Just a moment.
Kasar, what is budget?
Can you see the video and can you hear it properly?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Just take a look at this video, and as usual, at the end of the video, I'll be asking you few questions. Okay? Fine.
Example of a budget. What is budgeting? What are the requirements for effective budgeting? Advantages of budgeting. Before going into the budgeting, we must know what the budget is. A budget is an instrument of management used as an aid in planning, programming and control of business activity. A budget is used for cost control purposes, and it is one of the most important activities employed by management. The budget represents the financial requirement of different sections of a business during a period, to achieve an estimated profit based upon a given volume of sales. It depends on past statistical data, and predicts the estimated labor, sales, production and other management requirements for a definite budgetary period. As an example, a recreation budget of a person for one fine evening may look as: taxi charge to a cinema hall $20, cinema ticket $7, dinner in a restaurant $75, and taxi charges back to home $20. Total is $122. The budget is a statement showing the way the person plans to spend $122. So, what is budgeting? Budgeting is the art of budget making. Budget plays an important role in the development and use of modern cost accounting systems, in all types of business enterprises. Good budgeting shows the manager what he may expect in sales over the next few months. It permits the formulation of production quota, including the types and quantities of material, the number and kind of labors, the amount of overhead and fixed asset requirements, and it points out financial requirement needed to accomplish the budget plan. Thus, budgeting implies forecasting and pre-planning for the budget period, based upon past statistical data, and present conditions. What are the requirements for an effective budgeting? 1. There should be a recognized organization for budgeting, with all lines of authority and responsibility definitely allocated and defined. Number 2. The budget should distinctly mark the responsibilities of each section of the business. 3. Since a budget is based on estimates of sales, cost, etc., they should take good care to make estimates. Number 4. A budget should be made flexible, so that they may incorporate unavoidable changes if necessary. What is budgetary control? Budgetary control makes use of budget for planning and controlling all aspects of producing and selling products or services. It attempts to show the plans in financial terms. When the budgetary control applied to a business as a whole or different section within the business, it compares actual performance and the predicted performance, and thus enables all levels of management and supervision to know how their sections are moving towards the achievements of budgeted targets. Thus, budgetary control attempts to bring actual performance at par with the predicted performance, by keeping a strict supervisory eye on the actual performance, and by exercising control, if necessary. Advantages of budgeting. 1. Policy, plans, and actions are all reflected in the budgetary control system. There is a formal recognition of the targets, which the business hope to achieve. 2. Budgeting makes for better understanding, coordination, and harmony of action in a business enterprise, because all departments takes part in the process. 3. The targets, goals and policies are clearly defined. 4. It provides management with a guide of daily activities, thus helping in determining the performance and efficiency of each department, thereby leading to improvement. 5. It informs management of the progress made towards achieving the predetermined objectives. 6. Total capital required and price of an item can be estimated in advance. Now come to limitations of budgeting. 1. Since the budget is based on estimates, that means estimated sales, estimated costs, estimated business conditions, etc. It may need periodic revisions, because estimates may not come out to be % true. 2. A budget cannot work, until the desire to make it work is established in the minds of persons working in the different sections of a business concern. If you want to read in details and download the PDF, go through the link in the description. If you find the video helpful, give us a like, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to Education Leads.
Yes, I hope all of you followed the video. So my question is related to this particular video. What are the two important components of budget? We have seen those two keywords. What are, my question is, you can raise your hand. My question is, what are the, just a moment. Yeah, just a moment. No, what are the, see, my question is, what are the two important components of, yes, Lavanya?
Budgeting and controlling and planning.
No, controlling and planning, I'll take it. But two important keywords.
Hello?
When we draft a
Planning
budget,
and controlling and planning, sir.
no, I'll take it. It's not wrong answer. But when we prepare a budget, what are the two important components? On what basis the budget is prepared? Let me reframe the question.
Hello.
Yes.
It's income and expenses.
Exactly. Right. Estimated sales. This was the word used there. Yes. D'Souza, you want to say something?
Yes, so the same thing, that is the past statistical data and predict the future.
Yeah, that also
expense.
I'll take. But see, when actually budget is prepared, estimated sale are taken into account and estimated cost. Right? Budgeting is nothing but planning. It's a financial planner. You can take it in layman's word. It is a financial planning. So planning, financial planning में क्या आएगा कि आपका sale कितना हो रहा है, how much you are going to earn, and how much you are going to spend, right? How much that is going to cost you in terms of resources. Human resource will also be taken into account. Human budgeting is also done, right? Then the inventory which you purchase, the inputs, right? Cost of raw material, for example. So this cost is put on one side, and the estimated SC. This is all forecasting. Budgeting is nothing but forecasting the expenses based on the past data. Obviously, you have to refer to whatever has happened earlier. I'm say 1 year data you can compare, and hopefully you may hike a bit. Sale आप थोड़ा increase कर सकते because you know you are going to grow in future. At the same time, cost is also going to increase. We all know that. Cost of raw material keeps on increasing, right? Cost of other things keeps on, your salary keeps on increasing. So you have to see, it's estimate, right? It may be perfect, it may not be perfect. That's why one important factors comes into picture, that is budgetary control, right? You find out what is the deviation, actual performance and planned performance. You compare both, right? If there is a deviation, then you put budgetary control, right? You may curtail on the cost, or you may pump up more money, more funds to a particular department which is lagging, right? So budgetary control plays a very important role, and budgetary control has direct linkages to what? To planning, right? I hope all of you agree with me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good, fine. So budgeting, as I said, forms a very, very important function because it has to do something with what? Finance, right? With money, with funds. And we know the importance or significance of fund for an organization. Without fund, no organization can survive. कोई भी organization चलाने के लिए you require funds. No matter what sort of organization it is. It can be a commercial organization, even NGOs and non-profitable organization. They also have to do this budgeting part. because without money, nothing, the show cannot go on, right? We all know that. Money forms a very, very important, it's a lifeline of any organization. Without money, you cannot survive, isn't it? So, budgetary control plays a very important role, and it has direct linkages with what? With planning, right? You have to replan the things if there is a deviation in your actual performance and planned performance. Okay, so let us move ahead. I'm going to take you to another small video. Before that, let us see what are business budgets, right? Let us discuss something about business budget. When we talk about budget, obviously they are business budgets, right? So the key takeaways are a business budget helps owners determine if they have enough money to fund operation, expand and generate income. Without a budget, a company runs the risk of spending money it doesn't have, right? Because you will never come to know, if you do not do budgeting part, then you will never come to know how much you are spending and how you are spending. You have to see budgeting is allocating resources to various operations or to various departments, right? So without a budget, a company runs the risk of spending money it doesn't have, not spending enough to complete, or failing to build a solid emergency fund. Because we know, Corona and all are very good example, COVID period. Many small organizations, they have to shut down because it was not budgeted. Nobody was knowing that this is going to come. And those people who were able to know once the COVID started, those people who were wise enough to predict till how much time this will go and what this COVID will have impact on their business, they have created emergency fund. Contingency भी बोलते हैं उसको, emergency fund or contingency fund, right? So budgeting helps in making a provision for emergency funds also. To create a budget, check industry standard. You have to determine what other other player in your industry are doing, and to determine the average cost of doing business and create a spreadsheet. See, most of the budgeting is done on Excel, right? Because it helps. Excel is meant for to play with figures, and create a spreadsheet estimating the amount of money you will need to allocate towards your cost, right? At the same time, you have to determine how much you are going to earn. So factor in some slacks in your budget to cover unexpected costs and review areas where you could cut costs if time gets tough, right? COVID is a good example, as I've quoted just now, right? Review your budget every few months and shop around for new suppliers to save money on products and services of your budget. Now, these are the 6 steps to better budgeting. I'm going to play this video for all of you. Just a moment. There is one message in the chat box. Budget deficient or spending or revenue may occur if not used properly. Yes, this is what we have studied in the definition, that budgeting helps you to spend wisely, right? Allocate resources for emergency. All this thing is part and parcel of budgeting. I'm going to share the screen again for you, and it's hardly 1 minute 30-second video, and at the end of the video again I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Small businesses determine if they have enough money to fund operations, expand, and generate income. Without a budget, a business runs the risk of...
Can you see the video properly and hear the sound?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, fine. So let me play the video for you.
spending money it doesn't have, not spending enough to compete, or failing to build a solid emergency fund. These 6 tips can help small businesses plan their budgets. 1. Check industry standards. Research the industry to learn what percentage of revenue should cover which costs. Small businesses can be volatile and susceptible to industry downturns, so only look at averages, not specifics. 2. Before opening, estimate the dollar amount and revenue percentages that will cover raw materials and other costs and list them on a spreadsheet. Include rent, taxes, and insurance. 3. Remember to factor in some slack. Estimates are not set in stone, so make sure there's more than enough money socked away or coming in before expanding or hiring additional employees. 4. Look to cut costs when times are tight and a bill must be paid or when a big opportunity awaits. Look at items that can be controlled and wait until the start of a new billing cycle to make purchases. 5. Periodically review the business. Many firms draft a yearly budget, but small companies should draft their budget more often. 6. Shop around for services and suppliers when setting budgets and reviewing expenses.
Yeah, just a moment. Yeah, those were the 6 tips, rather, not 6 steps, but they can be used as a steps also, 6 steps or 6 tips, right? So, whatever key takeaway I have explained just now was explained in the video again. Okay, so I hope all of you followed the tips, right? So, what was the first tip, Lavanya?
Sir, can you explain third and fourth, sir? Remember to factor in slack and look to cut costs.
Yeah. So that is fourth, right? Fourth, that is factor in some slack in your budget to cover see, slack means what? See, all of a sudden the expenses may go very high, right? So you have to factor in. You have to keep a provision, keep a buffer. It is also called as buffer, so that whenever unexpected cost rises, you have to have provision for that. वैसा नहीं कि फिर समय पे भागदौड़ हो जाए. The way it has happened with like what because of this supply chain problem which has occurred at the time of COVID, and it has impacted almost all automobile companies, all four-wheelers company. Most of them are running with a waiting period, 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 years. Kia is a good example. If you want to book a Kia car, then probably you have to wait for at least 6 months. Most of their models, not all of them, but most of their models. Same is happening with Mahindra and Mahindra. Then same has happened with other automobile companies, right? It was all because of the problems in supply chain. There was a problem of chip, which was usually made available from Taiwan, and this has caused a lot of damages to this automobile industry. Same is the example of COVID. COVID has also impacted. Those are the slacks in your budget. I would say the expenses may go high, right? That is fourth. And fifth is review your budget every month. See, small businesses, they can afford reviewing it every month because probably their revenue and cost are not that huge compared to a big organization, right? Where the review is usually done on yearly basis. But as a finance manager, you should be on your toes and you should keep a close eye or be vigilant about your expenses as well as what are the revenues that are being generated, right? Just a second, I'll take a break for 1 minute's time, and you be online, okay? I'm going to meet you again in a minute's time. Yes, fine. I'm back. All of you there? Okay, good. Somebody has. Who's this? Satyendra. Yeah, see, two important components you have to keep in mind. Estimated revenue, right? Or estimated sales. Revenue will come from what? Sales only, right? And from where will the profit come? From your sales or your revenue, right? And that particular revenue will have a cost component also, right? Something you have to spend on the inputs or raw material, or maybe if it's purely a service industry, your most of the spending will be on human resources, right? Can you quote any example of any service industry where most of the spending is on what? Is on human resources? Anybody? Any example where the resource allocation is most of not 100%, I would say. Yeah, somebody has consulting business. Good, Mahesh. Good. Consulting is purely service oriented and leave apart the capital cost, like purchasing the offices and all. Once it is done, most of the spending will be on, I'm to say 95%, or it depends from organization to organization, but more than 90% of the spending will be on human resources when we talk about consultancy business. Any more such example like this? BPOs, good Satyendra. BPO is again one of the very excellent example. Once the setup is done, once that capital expenditure is over, then most of the more than 90-95% of the your resource allocation will go on what? It will go on human resources, isn't it? Yeah, Khushbu, yeah, Satyendra has already answered BPO. Any more examples? KPO, fine, I'll take it. Shivangi. See, plenty of examples are there where most of the resources are allocated to human resources. Spending, most of your spending or cost goes on human resources. Banking, do you agree with it? Banking, firms or companies in finance, good Satyendra. All sort of financial organizations, right? Financial firms, like what? Plenty of hospitals, yes, good, I'll take it. Hospitals, right? See, once the setup is done, most of the spending will be on what? I'm saying 90-95% will capital market. Good, Satyan. Still more example. I'm looking out for more example. Police station. Do you agree with me or not? Police stations. What is your say on this? Municipal corporation. Rishikesh. Yes, I'll take it. Fire services. Police stations, municipal corporation, right? Shivangi, you have not followed the question. See, my question was, I want the type of organization where most of the cost goes on human resources, and obviously they won't be manufacturing, or it cannot be agriculture sector. It has to be service sector, right? So government agencies, all sort of government, educational department, good Ritu. Satyendra, hospitality industry, right? Tours and travel. So tours and travel, fine. The passenger, they may be spending on the other expenses, but setting up that particular office, spending will be on the human resources, isn't it? What else will come into picture? Army, Navy, Air Force. Good. This was a good, excellent. Here also, most of the revenues or most of the cost goes on the expenses on the army persons, right? Insurance sector, Satyendra, good. Insurance we have left out. Insurance is one. Good. What else? और कुछ याद आ रहा है? Insurance, education we have covered. Yeah, most of the industry we have covered. Payroll management system. Software, yeah, this is what we have left out. Software, IT sector. Pharma, I agree, but see, many times the input goes on, see, pharma is manufacturing, right? So, I totally do not agree with pharma because the inputs, the cost will go on what? The medicine, right? The whatever ingredients are there in medicine, most of the cost will go on that. It may differ from company to company, but it is not a service-based industry, isn't it? Real estate, fine, I'll take it to a certain extent. Food industry is a good example, right? All sort of digital services, right? Once the app is done, then probably you have to manage. It has to be managed by what? The employees of that particular organization, like Zomato, for example, Ola, right? So all sort of digital platform, there the cost or the resource allocation or the funds will go on the salaries or of the employees or the expenses that are made on the employees. We have to exclude entertainment industry. Yeah, I'll take it to a certain extent. Aviation, good. I'll take it. Nippon. So all you have to do is remember service industry. When their budget will be different than what the budget is prepared by a manufacturing industry. For example, textile, right? For example, automobile, right? For example, agriculture. Agriculture is altogether a different industry. Manufacturing, when we talk about manufacturing, the input can be cotton and the output can be your cloth, right? It can be Arvind jeans, right? So there the spending that goes is on the input more compared to what the spending goes on the human resource. I hope all of you are following what I am saying, right? Media industry, yeah, media will take it. Okay, Snail is following. Yes, D'Souza, you want to say something?
Sir, I had one question. Sir, I just wanted to clear one doubt. Many a times this is asked as an MCQ also, that planning goes closely in hand, hand in hand to which other feature of the post-corp. So, what would be the most closest to planning, sir?
See,
If we have to
if you
answer as-
open the penny book, planning and controlling, it is often said it goes hand in hand. Planning and controlling, right? Similar
Okay.
budgeting, as I said, is one of the planning only. It's a financial planning, nothing else. You are playing with numbers. You are playing with figures. That is the only difference. Whereas planning in broad sense includes planning of what everything, planning of your finance, all 6M, right? Planning of all these resources, human resource, man, machine, money, right? Material, method, and meridian. That is what we have discussed. But whereas budgeting has to do with funds, it has to do with these two terms. Can you see the screen? Expenses and revenue. Right?
Correct, sir.
Yeah, so these two terms are very important, and it is sort of forecasting. It is planning only, but you have to see, planning is what? Planning is visualizing what is going to happen in future, isn't it? And controlling is what? Comparing the output with the actual output with the plan output. That is controlling. Budgeting is again, I would say, budgeting is again, I would say, is overlapping with these two functions, planning and controlling, because budgeting also have budgetary control. There are certain tools.
Yeah, budget. Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt, sir, but that is what I was also going to say, that even controlling has some inputs in budgeting also, because
Exactly.
there also we have to
Exactly.
control our budget.
Exactly.
Yes. So, sir, we can take into consideration planning and controlling goes most closely related, sir.
Exactly. Planning is
Okay, sir.
most closely related to controlling, because
Okay, sir.
control आप जब लगाते हो, whatever way you are going to put the control, that is directly going to take you to planning. You have to revise your plan, right? If there is a deviation, if there is no deviation, if your planned goals are being made and actual goals are equal, then probably you are not going to go to planning. But a bit of deviation or more deviation, you have to go back to planning. You will be skipping all middle level steps, right? You have to go back to planning, and you have to reorganize everything, redo the staffing, right? Redo the directing. All the things will change once you find out there is a deviation in the set standards or in the set goal, right? This is, see, check the industry standards. So this is something different, but standards is what? Your set goals or your set objectives. You can take it as objective also, right? So what do you have to remember when you do budgeting? See, budgeting we do for individually also. We do budgeting. अपना भी एक budget होता है कि fine, I got so much of salary or I got so much of pocket money from my parents. Now how I'm going to spend it for a month's time? Probably few portion on watching a movie in a theater, or maybe freaking around with friends, right? Going for a hotel for a dinner, right? So the expenses, see, whatever planning you do, that is nothing but budgeting. आपको मिले हैं 5,000 rupees for this month. Now you determine whether to do what, whether to purchase a gin, right? Whether to spend on clothes, or whether to purchase a book or shoes. It can be anything. So you list out the items on the left side, and you probably, this is what we have seen in earlier video. You list out the item on the left side, and you list out the expenses that you are going to make on those items. That is simple budget when we do it for as an individual, right? Companies, Satyendra has said, companies avoiding budgeting may not be able to spend adequately and so not able to compete with other companies. Yeah. See, budgeting is part and parcel. No organization can survive without budgeting. Budgeting nahi karoge to you will be directionless. You will never come to know whether you are making profit or whether you are making losses, right? Because there won't be any comparison with the cost and the revenue you are going to generate. So it is even a fool has to do it. You cannot run away from it. As I said, even as an individual, we have to budget out. Otherwise, I may overspend. मेरे पास credit card है and I am spending from it, and the pocket money which I got from my parents was 5,000 rupees. I may overspend because I do not know how much money I have got because I have not noted it down, isn't it? So this is nothing. Budgeting is nothing but putting your revenue and expenses in black and white. In simple word, in layman's word, putting it in black and white in terms, in numericals, right, in figures. So that is one of the part of planning. Okay, so let us move ahead. This is what we have covered. So the bottom line of the entire story, or the crux of the story, is budgeting is an essay. Easy, but budgeting is an easy but essential process that business owners use to forecast. See, it is forecasting. I have used this word. Forecast current and future revenue to the expenses. The goal is to make sure that enough money is available to keep the business up and running, to grow the business, to compete, to ensure a solid emergency fund. This is all are the objectives of budgeting. It helps to keep the business running, right? It helps to grow the business. It helps you to compete with your competitors, right? And it helps you to ensure the contingency fund, or it is also called as emergency fund, which you are not able to forecast. The example I have already given, right? Supply chain management issues which has arisen, then issues related to COVID, we have seen that. Anything may crop up, like earthquake, for example, floods, right? Change in government policies which are very difficult to predict, change in interest rate, right? Change in petroleum prices. So these are all things which are very difficult to predict. You never know whether the oil is going to go down or it is going to go up. It has gone down. I hope all of you are aware, all of you are knowing. Yeah, you cannot predict recession, inflation. All these things are factors beyond human control. So for this purpose, you have to keep geopolitical issues. Yeah, Russia-Ukraine war is again one of the good example. Geopolitical issues, Russia-Ukraine war, that has an impact on what? Anybody, what is Ukraine good at producing?
Oil industry.
Oil. What about wheat? Have you heard about wheat?
Wheat.
Right?
Wheat.
Because it has impacted the supply of wheat to countries like Pakistan and other countries, because Ukraine is very good in producing wheat. So it has impacted that also, right? So this is example of geopolitical issue, oil and wheat. Snehal has rightly pointed, Mahesh has also pointed out correctly. Wheat, they are a huge manufacturer or supplier of wheat. And Russia, what they did, they have destroyed most of their farms, or they have what? They have cut the supply chain. So it has an impact on wheat prices globally, right? So this type of thing is very difficult to predict. It may happen any point of time, and for that you need to have what? Emergency, or what is the other word I've used? Emergency fund, or what? What is the other word I've used?
Contingency.
Contingency, right? Contingency fund, emergency fund, buffer fund, right? Buffer means to cover up something which you have projected. You make a provision for that, but over and above you make certain other provisions, right? So that helps you to cover all these emergencies, right? Fine, just a moment. I'm going to take a break for another minute's time. Yeah, fine. Okay, let us move ahead. I hope all of you followed up till now. It has been followed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now another one small video, and after that we'll go for question and answer. In case if you have any doubts, right? Just a minute. Let me reshare the screen. It's again a 6 minutes video, but again a wonderful video because I have to do homework for searching all these videos. They are readily available. There were few questions from the students, sir. आप वीडियो का लिंक भेज दीजिए, हम देख लेंगे बाद में. Why to waste time on this video? But my purpose is different. I want to see since these videos are in flow. Whatever we are discussing, it's part and parcel of that. That's why I'm not sending.
Hi, I'm Jared Hillam.
That's why I'm not sending the links, because at the end I want to ask you questions, and I really want to know whether you have followed this video properly or not, whether you have followed the concept. Now this video talks on what is budgeting and planning. Here a comparison is made between budgeting and planning, the question which was raised by D'Souza. I hope this video solves that question. I hope I have already given an explanation to that, but let us see this video, and at the end I'll be asking few questions. Okay, I'm going to play the video.
Wall Street is worried about one thing and one thing only, and that's the future. No matter how amazing your organization has performed in the past, they want to know that you're going to knock their socks off 3 months from now. This has a profound impact on organizations, as it requires them to plan in detail about how much business they will generate and what costs they will incur. A majority of this burden falls on the shoulders of the CFO. But CFOs don't generally make these predictions alone. To get this information, CFOs will assign line of business managers to provide these forecasts for their business lines. Then the CFO team will roll up the results to provide a company-wide perspective. That sounds pretty simple, right? Well, it's not. In fact, in most cases, it's an absolute mess. The process usually starts with the Office of the CFO creating a template in Excel. This template then gets sent out to all the line of business managers, asking them to input their forecast for next quarter or next year. After a line of business manager fills out the Excel spreadsheet, they'll email it back to the Office of the CFO so they can be consolidated to provide a corporate forecast. If the CFO's team were dealing with only 1 or 2 line of business managers, this process would be pretty easy. But in most organizations, they're dealing with dozens of people that are creating and evaluating forecasts. So the minute that the finance team thinks that their forecasts are complete, they will get yet another revision or an update that must get incorporated into the final tally. On top of that, finance has to track the most up-to-date version of the spreadsheets out of hundreds of revised copies sitting in their email boxes. After this painful process is wrapped up and the forecasts are released, the circus starts all over again in preparation for the next forecast. So as you can see, budgeting and planning is an Excel nightmare. And this is where budgeting and planning tools step into the picture. The challenge of budgeting and planning from a business intelligence perspective is that it requires 2 kinds of activities: read and write. In order for line of business managers to predict the future, they will need to see their past performance. This will help them answer questions like whether trending is steadily increasing and if there are certain months which have spikes or valleys. This also allows managers to see how their expenditures are panning out. All these activities are read activities, which is functionality that every business intelligence tool provides. However, when it comes to writing back our estimates, we quickly hit a wall, and the number of business intelligence platforms that provide this functionality drops dramatically, which is why so many organizations revert to manually passing around Excel files and hand-tallying their estimates. Budgeting and planning tools solve this challenge by deploying their data into OLAP cubes. For more about OLAP, I recommend you see our video called What is OLAP? In OLAP, we get the ability to explicitly model how we want the data to roll up. So it provides a great place to not only see historical data, but it also allows us to input our future plans. Because the future plans are input directly into a model that has a predefined roll-up, the results are automatically consolidated for the Office of the CFO. This means that we avoid the Excel mess of trying to hand consolidate each Excel spreadsheet sent via email. Additionally, this gives the line of business managers a vision of their rolled up estimates. While I've focused this video on the Office of the CFO, by no means is that the only group that needs to plan and forecast. Sales, supply chain, HR, and many other teams need these capabilities. Anytime you're working as a team and rolling up regular forecasts, budgeting and planning tools should be considered as an alternative to exchanging Excel spreadsheets. The good news is that most budgeting and planning tools use Excel as their canvas, so the transition from an expertise perspective is minimal. Any organization seeking to use these kinds of tools should incorporate a few important considerations. Number one, your OLAP cube ideally should be an in-memory structure so that your users can see the immediate roll-up of the numbers they put into their forecasts. Number two, both your historical data and your future forecasts should seamlessly transfer to a web interface so that larger audiences can be informed and participate in planning activities. Number three, your planning tools should allow you to distribute estimates at any level in the cube. This means not only should you be able to forecast the whole year all at once and have those numbers distributed to each month, but you should also be able to plan 1 month and have it roll up to the year. Number four, your planning tool should natively allow you to work from Excel to conduct the planning process. And number five, your planning tool should be able to scale to large quantities of people and data. Hitting dead ends because of performance issues is not something you want to deal with after all the manpower has been put into getting the planning process correct. Intricity is uniquely able to guide its customers through these and other important considerations when diving into the budgeting and planning process. I recommend that you reach out to Intricity and talk with one of our specialists. We can help you organize your Excel mess and provide a path that will deliver timely and accurate historical performance as well as future planning.
Hi, I hope all of
It's a pleasure to be with you.
I hope all of you followed the video. Can somebody explain me what was the speaker talking all about? Yes, please raise your hand. What exactly you have followed? Kushbu? Lavanya?
Lavanya.
Again, it was in line with whatever the first video which we have seen, right? P and L, Maverick. What is P and L? Profit and loss. You want to say? Yes. Okay. See, budgeting also. See, obviously, when we talk about revenue, yes, Satyendra, what have you followed?
So may I, sir?
Yes, Satyendra.
Hello. Sir, the video was actually covering the concept of budgeting and planning, and it was talking about the estimates of future based on the past data. Then that budget has to be in detail, sir, and it has to predict the main onus is on the CFO to actually get the data from all departments and collate it for future purpose. So it is a very tedious task, and he has to actually deal with various departments like sales, supply chain, or HR to get those data. And each department has to give their budget estimates in order to help the CFO to actually manage to create that budget forecasting for the entire company. And they have formulated a concept of OLAP, which actually various steps which provide steps to actually it provides the guideline for actually collating the data and how that budget forecasting can be done in a better way.
So,
thank you, sir.
Yeah, you have used that word CFO, right? What is the full form of CFO? Very simple question. CFO.
Chief Financial Officer, sir.
Chief Financial Officer. Good. Right? He is a very important person when we say budgeting. Obviously, the entire onus, the entire responsibility rests on the CFO. He has to see to it that he gets the inputs or data from each department so that he'll come to know the cost, what are the requirements, right? and accordingly he can allocate the budget to each and every department. It can be sales and marketing department, it can be human resource department, right? It can be IT sale, IT or admin, right? Admin which takes care of operations, right? So unless until he knows what are the requirement and what is the revenue that will be generated out of the sale, he cannot go ahead with budgeting. He cannot plan out the things. So it is his responsibility. That's why that particular short form, right, was used CFO, that is Chief Finance Officer. So he is the person who will take care of this budgeting part. But the other department have to support him by giving him correct data, right? Their revenue and sale, which is going to take place through marketing department. Then the cost that is going to incur, probably the operations people may give them the estimate of cost. What are the expenses that will be incurred on machineries, and when we talk about manufacturing, machineries or raw material, right? Or on labor. So all this thing has to accounted for. That's why this accounting was also used, one of the word which is closely related to budgeting. It has to be accounted for, all the revenues and all the sales, and accordingly the CFO is going to make the budget, right? So budget, as we all know, it's both art as well as science. It's not only science, it's art also. Because so many of data comes into picture, and it has to be organized properly. It has to be put in a proper perspective so that everybody understand it. It should be presentable. It should be understandable, right? It should be readable, right? And you should be able to make a statement out of it, whether the organization is going to make profit or loss, or if they are going to make profit, how much of the profit they are going to make. So budget will give you a clear picture of what is going to happen in the future. Okay, all of you following what I am saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So that is all for today's session. You have any doubt or queries regarding this? This topic may look very difficult, but it is very simple. All you have to remember is estimated revenue and estimated cost. Simple as that. And you have to, as a CFO, you have to put it in a proper perspective so that it is understandable by the top management, because this will go as a reporting. Again, one of the important component which I am going to cover in our upcoming session, reporting. See, budgeting forms a very important tool when we talk about reporting. Right? So reporting to whom? Usually reporting happens to the upper level management. The lower level will report it to the middle level, whatever. See, the flow of information or flow of this cost and expenses, all this thing will be through reporting. What is reporting? It has already been said that reporting is converse of directing, and it is opposite. Directing will always go downward. The top management will direct the middle management, and the middle management will direct the lower level management. Whereas reporting will go in the reverse fashion. Right? So reporting serves the purpose of keeping authorities and the public at large informed about the performance, achievement and shortfall for a specific period. Now, who are this public? The public word is used. It is to inform. Reporting, as I said, will move upward. The lower level will report to upper level, middle level, and middle level will report to upper level. To whom will the top management report? Stakeholders. Stakeholders, right, exactly. So all the stakeholders, the people who have purchased share of the company, forms the stakeholders or shareholders also, you can call it, isn't it? So the top management have the onus or responsibility to report to the stakeholders. They are the actual owners of the organization, because they have invested their money in your organization. So obviously you are accountable to the top management as well. All sort of management, they are all accountable to these shareholders. All of you agree with me or not? Satyendra? Aditya?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, fine. So this is all for today. Yeah, Kesh has followed, Priti has followed. Fine, good. Any doubt in this? So next session we'll be having something on reporting. Thank you all of you. Thank you so much for attending for today's session. Let us meet in our I think that is in next week, isn't it? So we'll meet.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye and take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm ending the session for all of you. Symbiosis होतं. ते हा का बरं पडली झालं मला वाटतं ते इलेक्शन वगैरे लागले त्यात बिझी आहे सगळं लोक 30 नोव्हेंबरला इलेक्शन